Suge Knight, he tried to sign Tupac earlier in Tupac's career, right?
If you look at the whole history of Death Row, when they had Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Nate Dogg was the hottest thing that you would hear on the hook. And Death Row at that particular time, Suge did not let his artists collaborate with no other artists. You would not hear Snoop on another artist song or Dre doing a beat for another artist. It was only Death Row collaborations. But Suge used to give, he used to let Nate Dogg, for example, on the Thug Life album, Nate Dogg was on the Thug Life album. Dre was doing beats for Pac. So Suge always had some type of love for Pac. And I remember, I think it was an incident where they was in inner school. And Pac was with, the Thug Life homies from LA. And he ran into Suge, and Suge was like, "Man, I would love to get you at Death Row." And Suge himself said Pac was wild. He just didn't want to hear it. He just pretty much walked out the office. You know what I mean? He said Pac wasn't ready back then. So Suge wanted to get him, early on, before all the incidents. He wanted Pac as one of his artists.
So give me the backstory, man. Tupac getting bailed out of prison by Suge Knight, joining Death Row, and bringing you out to L.A.
I remember the word started getting around that Pac was like, "Man, I'm going to Death Row. Suge going to bail me out. I'm signing to Death Row." At that particular time, Death Row was the hottest label. Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, they was the hottest label. And then we seen at the Source Awards, the infamous Source Award when Suge got up and he's like, "Anybody tired of the people dancing in the videos?" That incident, in that same Source Award video, Suge was like, "I want to give a shout out to Tupac, tell him to keep his head up. We riding with you." So that was pretty much the confirmation right there that that Pac was on his way to Death Row. And, we went to visit him one day and he was like, "Look, I'm about to be home soon. I'm going to Death Row and we all going to meet up in LA. And I just get a phone call one day. Pac was like, "I'm out. I'm heading to LA. You guys going to meet me out there in a couple days." A couple days later, we was in LA. We landed in LA. We went to the Peninsula Hotel. Pac was staying in the hotel in Beverly Hills, the Peninsula Hotel. And when I walked into the room, it was like a party. You know what I mean? A bunch of people from LA.